Today I'm going to show you how I go about writing metalcore guitar tapping riffs. It's very popular in like metal, metalcore, djent, thall, so many styles of metal and like modern metal. I'm going to start with the very basics, how to do it, how to like start from level 1 and to build yourself up to more and more interesting tapping riffs. So if you're interested in that, let's jump right in. So some of you may be wondering what tapping is. It's basically using your right hand or your picking hand to create a note by pressing down on the string hard enough that it creates a sound. Instead of picking, we're gonna use this hand and go. And basically you wanna push the string to the point where it's touching the fretboard. If I do it softly, it's super quiet and it doesn't sustain very well, but if you push down pretty quickly and a little bit harder, it's a lot more full. And then the next point in your tapping adventure, you're basically gonna push down, and then we're gonna do a pull off with your right hand. So basically you're pressing down, and then you're plucking the string off. But usually you'll have your other hand holding down another note so that you can pull off onto another note rather than an open. So I'm just gonna do it an octave real quick. We're gonna do D, and then the octave up of D. So I'm gonna push down and then I'm gonna release by plucking upwards, but holding down D with my left hand here. And again, pressing down and then flicking it upwards. Cool, so now let's get a little bit more interesting with it. So the first place to get started with tapping is to just do the octave. So right now we're gonna stay with fret 5 and fret 6 since they're pretty like metal. And then we're gonna tap the octave up. So as you can see, we can stay on the octave, but then move to a different note and stay on the octave with our tapping hand. It fills out the lead. Instead of going, we can just alternate those notes with. And you just really want to think about the notes in the scale. So if you're starting on like 1 and then you go to the semitone, you know for sure that one's going to be a full note and that one's going to be a full note. It's a really safe place to start. So for this next step, we'll start incorporating the semitones as well as the octave up. So something like this. Let's try it out. By introducing that semitone note up, it just makes it feel a little bit more menacing. And then with the same idea, we can start adding extra notes. So as you can see, I'm kind of just moving up the scale. I'm not doing anything particularly interesting with this hand, but it just sounds so nice in the context of having the semitones also going. And we're still staying on the same strings, which is really cool. So another way to just add movement is to just keep your left hand moving a little bit throughout the riff. It just kind of changes the fundamental, even if you're doing the same note. It's kind of the opposite of the one we just did. If we're keeping the same note with our right hand or with our picking hand, but moving this around, it also just completely changes the way that it sounds in a nice way. So now we can start introducing open notes, but this time instead of tapping on the octave up, I'm just gonna change the note to another note in the key. So instead of, I'm gonna do, it's another note, it just sounds cool and it's not the octave, just to change it up a little just for this next level. And what's cool with using open notes in our tapping riffs is that we can also like change the way that our riff grooves, so it's not the exact same thing every repetition. So something like this. You can see by adding the open notes, it almost like breathes in a way because it's not the exact same notes every time, and you're able to like changing up where the open comes. You can really get creative with the rhythm. It's nice because we can use our right hand really percussively. super easy, but also super fun, and it sounds a lot harder than it actually is. So once you start getting going with this, you'll be like, oh, it's not that hard. So for this next one, to spice it up even more, we're gonna use our right hand to kind of slide between notes. So instead of, we can do like, it's a nice way to also throw in the octave and kind of change up the rhythm or the fundamental. It's cool to throw it in and to just like be creative with the way that you insert these different notes between opens, slides, and for this next one, we can start implementing other strings. Obviously, that's where this was heading. So for this next one, we're gonna do more of a melodic measure that's less metal, but more just fun to do, let's say. But I'm gonna just change up the strings a lot and play within C major, all the notes that I know are in C major. It's just an easy way. Find a chord that you like, find a scale that you like, and then just like know where those notes are, and then you'll have an easier time adding extra notes. It's a lot simpler than it seems. You basically just get a little bit better and practice your hammer-ons. And that's basically it. The tapping part's pretty easy. You're just gonna really hammer down with your right hand. And then the pulling off, and then for more complicated measures, we'll start getting more fingers from this hand involved. So let's find, again, a nice chord that we like within a scale. I'm gonna start with the D minor, and then start implementing the notes that I know are within the scale. I know I'm within C major again, but I'm starting on D minor. So just get creative, have a lot of fun with it. It's your world to explore, but you'll figure it out. Just keep jamming and like experimenting with it. Build up your calluses on this finger and get more used to using more of them. And then one last tip when it comes to writing metalcore tapping riffs, a very common thing to do, again with the octaves, is if you have a 24 fret guitar, you're gonna wanna do an open and then go to your 12th fret, same note, and then tap on the 24th. So we're actually doing 3 different octaves. That's a really big thing with metalcore. A lot of people are doing the whole open 12, 24 or open 12, 13, 24. So when you're just starting out, just really practice that very simple octave one, and then start implementing the semitones. And then when you feel a little bit more comfortable with that, start playing around and moving both your hands around. And then from there, you just start implementing other strings. And then from there, the world's your oyster. So thank you so much for watching. That's tapping on a guitar. That's how I go about writing tapping riffs. And then you go through and start writing riffs where there's like one tapping section within the riff, and you know, just have fun with it. It's really all about being creative, and it should always be fun. So make sure that you're having fun no matter what. If this is boring and you don't like it, move on to something else, for sure. If you want to see how I go about making my metalcore riffs better, check out this video right here. And if you've seen enough of me, then I get it. I totally get it. Have a good one. Thanks for staying around, and I'll see you next time. See ya.